Oh, whoops, I was on mute. Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Let me move this screen over here. Now I can look at you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. Before we go too much further, how should we pronounce your screen name?
Just Evan. Just call me Evan.
Okay,
I,
I
I
wasn't
say
sure.
it. I just say vnprc, but
Okay,
uh,
I
that's a
can say
mouthful.
vnprc. I just wanted to check.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining. I want to go ahead and just kind of go over a little bit of housekeeping notes here, set some context here for this event as a whole, and then we'll introduce you, Evan, and you can take it away from there. So I'm going to switch us over here to look at this website real quick. And for anyone who might be tuning in to this live stream for the first time, this is a series we've been doing for a Bitcoin mining hackathon. This is a global event called the Battle of the Mine Hackers. We're running out of ATL BitLab, which is Atlanta's Freedom Tech hackerspace. And the kind of goal of this event is to encourage people to work on projects that contribute towards Bitcoin miner decentralization. And so you can go to atlbitlab.com and click on the hackathon link, and it'll take you to this page here dedicated to the hackathon. If you're even remotely interested in this, I just recommend you join the Discord here. And that way you can hang out with all the other people who are building projects for this competition. And you can also communicate with some of our mentors, such as Evan. And if you scroll down this page, you'll learn a little bit more. As always, I want to thank our sponsors, CleanSpark, ClubLab, Hash League, Choya Inc., and CryoByte. We have a couple different ways you can get involved in this event. We have a software track with a 1.5 million sats prize, a hardware track with a 1.5 million sats prize, and an energy track with a 1.5 million sats prize, as well as a 300K sats challenge from Hash League. And that, when we talk about stuff like trying to decentralize Bitcoin mining, there's a lot of different ways to get involved with this. Some ways might be working at the pool protocol level on software projects such as Stratum v2 or HashPool. And other ways might be working on open source mining hardware such as the BitAxe or the Ember One, or finding ways to repurpose old mining equipment. And also working on the energy side of things, such as heat reuse, finding ways to incentivize people to run mining equipment in different use cases. We have a panel of judges here. Econo Alchemist, Scott, Tyler Stevens, Rob Warren, and two mystery judges soon to be announced, as well as a whole panel of mentors here who can teach you how to work with this technology. We got a schedule of events here. We're right here, kind of still in our first week of the hackathon, where Evan's going to be teaching us about HashPool, and there's all kinds of other events that you can look at. Where you can get help with your hackathon projects. So yeah, the primary thing I would impress upon everybody though is just join the Discord if you're not already in it. That's where all the activity and action is happening. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take my screen off here. And Evan, I would like to let you take it away from here. So Evan, I know from the Bitcoin conference scene, and he's been working on a project called HashPool, which uses Chaumian and ecash to facilitate Bitcoin pool mining. I'll let you go ahead and
Oh, your sound cut out there right at the end. I think I got the idea though. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
I can. I just another audio stream took over my headphones there, so I actually didn't hear what you just said.
Ah, okay. Well, thank you for the warm intro. Yeah, my name is Evan. I've been a BitDevs host for a long time, and recently I decided to start seriously working on improving Bitcoin mining pool decentralization. I think this is the biggest existential threat to Bitcoin, and so that's why I decided to work on it. My project is called HashPool, and I'm going to share my screen. This is going to be pretty technical. I'll run through a demo of what it is and discuss at a high level how it works and some resources you can use. But probably the best resource is just to contact me directly. I'm on Discord, I'm on Twitter, and we'll go through all of that in a second. Um, but yeah, let me screen share. Let me see this with 2 monitors. Okay. Entire screen. Okay.
And add it to the stage here.
All right.
All right. And then I'll move it so that, yeah, you got one of these widescreen monitors. Let me see what the best way. We want to make sure everybody can read this okay. So I think if I put us at the lower left here, that'll make the screen as big as possible so people can read all the code and all that. But just give you a heads up, our little faces are like right in the lower left at the very bottom, like kind of where your little problems and output tabs are in VS Code.
That's cool. I don't even use this stuff in VS Code.
Awesome.
All right. So here's in a nutshell, here's what HashPool looks like. I don't know about this color scheme. This was like the default color scheme that came with it, and I don't care. So I just left it the way it was. But here we see all of these processes. These are, I think, eight processes running. This is a devenv Nix container. Devenv is just like a front end that sort of deploys a bunch of Nix containers and gives you this nice, pretty terminal UI so you can kind of see what's going on. And we've got 8 processes here. This is the Bitcoin D node, JD client, JD server. We'll go through what all these processes do right now. But right now it's kind of all starting up. And if we watch, the action will happen in the proxy server. And I'm going to talk about, here we go. It's happening already. Okay, so this is my miner process. Miner, what it's doing is it's finding shares. It sends those shares to the proxy. The proxy creates a quote at the ecash mint, the mint process. And that's what it's logging right here. This was my share hash that was found. You notice it starts with a bunch of zeros. And here we go. Every 1 minute, there's a polling process in the proxy daemon that checks at the mint to see if there's any quotes and to see if we can claim those quotes. And here we see it swept 2 quotes, the first for the value of 26 and the second of 27, total balance 77. And these are, I just had it generate an ecash token for 1. It's measured, it's ehash, so it's not measured in sats, it's measured in a unit called difficulty. So these are ehash tokens worth 1 difficulty unit. And they're all self-contained to this in this little devenv process. So you have to take this token to this mint process to redeem it. And I'll get into sort of the high-level architecture of how that all works, but this is how it looks right now. Yeah, so let's talk about what even is ehash. Let me open a new tab here. Okay, I've got this website that I put together called hashpool.dev. If you're curious, oh wow, we're moving slow today. Oh, handpool. It's not handpool.dev. It's hashpool.dev. Okay, cool. So I've got this article that describes what ehash is and why it works. Give it a read through. I'm not going to repeat all that today. Here's a diagrams page that can help you with some engineering diagrams. And as you can see here, like, for example, these are the 8 processes. Some of them are duplicated, Bitcoin D. More resources we can get into a little later. But what it is at a high level is HashPool is a new kind of mining pool that lets you, instead of having a custodial account that lives at the mining pool operator's server that keeps track of how much they owe you, what HashPool does is it tokenizes all of these mining shares and actually lets you claim that token as an ecash token and keep it in your local wallet. So we're sort of taking the custodial rewards database and externalizing it into an ecash mint. And so that when you mine to the server, you can claim these shares in your wallet and you can trade them. And the high level architecture, I haven't built it yet, is that ultimately you'll be able to redeem these ehash tokens for ecash tokens that are backed by Bitcoin. And if the mining pool supports both 12 payouts or on-chain payouts, you can redeem them that way as well. But so we take this sort of closed system, this custodial database, put it in an ecash mint as an asset that people can claim and trade self-custodially. Now that there's a lot of complex, like there's a lot of nuance in the term self-custodial. The Bitcoin mining rewards are custodial in the system as designed today, but the eHash tokens themselves, sort of your IOU, your claim on those rewards, are self-custodial. You can trade those around. Yeah, I can help you guys like understand how all these processes work. What do you think would be the best use of everyone's time? I can go over. I've got a repo.
Yeah. We did get
It,
one question from the audience from Curious Bitcoin says, "What's up, boys? Is this related to Bitcoin Spaces protocol?" I think the answer would probably be no, right?
I'm not familiar with the Bitcoin Spaces protocol, so
So,
probably no.
yeah, he's probably talking, I think with Spaces protocol is that thing where they're like trying to inscribe DNS records onto Bitcoin.
Ah, okay. No, not related to Bitcoin Spaces. Here's my repo. You can see the screenshots a little dated. I've got a ton of issues here. If you would just like to contribute to HashPool, there's a ton of stuff to work on. Hit me up. I've even got some people. Oh, cool. Someone claimed that ticket.
Nice.
And I'll be happy to. There's a ton of work. Like I've tried to externalize a lot of stuff that's in my head into here, but not all of it is in here. So if you have a project, I would be glad to put some time into it and write up a detailed GitHub issue with links to the code and everything you need to know to get going. Again, just DM me. Yeah, should we talk about how it works?
Yeah, maybe let me just go ahead and kind of repeat some of what I heard you said, just to make sure that, yeah, just to because see if I'm understanding it correctly, because there might be some people who are watching the recording later who might have similar questions. So it sounds to me like the primary problem you're trying to solve with HashPool is like the custodial nature of Bitcoin mining pools, because we have obviously like projects like Stratum V2 that are trying to you know, decentralize the block template construction, but there's still this kind of expectation that the mining pool custodies the payout until it hits into the miners. And so with HashPool, what you're trying to do is make it, you're trying to add a layer of kind of air quotes self-custody. If you kind of squint at it, like you're trying to make it so that the miners can, or the mining pool can immediately pay out the miners in the form of these ecash tokens, and then the miners then have the ecash tokens, and they can come back and reclaim that for Bitcoin at a later date.
Yeah, in a way, it's so it doesn't quote unquote solve custodial mining pools, because the mining pools, even under HashPool, are still custodial. They custody the Bitcoin rewards, which is really what we care about when we talk about custody. But it changes it from this sort of this old Web 2.0 not privacy preserving custody model, where the service provider has complete transparency into all of your actions. eCash really, at a fundamental level, what eCash does is it improves on this this old Web 2.0 custody model and makes custodians the best they can possibly be, because eCash is completely private. So the eCash mint itself doesn't have any transparency into who is minting eCash tokens, who is trading them to whom, and who is redeeming them for sats. So we're taking this sort of improved custodial model and importing it now into the mining realm, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think is really huge is that mining pools today can't really do micro payouts, or at least not very well. There are two pools I know of that do Lightning payouts, and this is good. Lightning has a lot of usability challenges. If you want to get spun up on Lightning from 0 to 1, like you've never touched Bitcoin in your life, you just heard about it yesterday, and you want to have a Lightning wallet, you need to first get some Bitcoin, and then spend some of it to open a Lightning channel if you're going to have a self-custodial wallet, or pay someone else to open a channel to you so you can have inbound. Or you use a custodial service. So we're really right at the beginning. If we want someone to get spun up on Bitcoin and start today with small amounts, we've got these two big usability challenges. They either need to buy a bunch of Bitcoin, enough to pay on-chain fees, or you need to reach this inflection point and push them into a custodial system, which is kind of counter to the entire narrative of Bitcoin. Like, the whole point is to be self-sovereign, freedom money. And now someone wants to join up and we're going to push them into this custodial system. That's not great. ecash solves both of these problems. It has, and it solves these problems essentially, if you think about it at a high level, by having users share a Lightning node. So the ecash mint is tightly integrated in Cashew, the Cashew protocol. So the Fedimint does things differently. In the Cashew protocol, the mint is tightly integrated with the Lightning node. So it's already got channels open, and by joining up and claiming some ecash balance, you sort of effectively tap into this shared Lightning node in a privacy-preserving way, so that the mint doesn't know who you are, and they can, using this sort of externalized accounts model, you can interact down to the single Satoshi. So I can send you 1 sat of ecash, and there's no onboarding fee. You don't have to. You just download a wallet, and you can like custody this ecash token. Again, you don't own the sat. The sat lives in the Lightning node, in a Lightning channel somewhere. But you can claim, you can self-custody this super private bearer asset that represents that ecash token. So we're taking this ecash model and importing it into the mining pool realm. And we're doing it in a way that we can actually take this mining share asset that lives in the mining pool's essentially account database and create a new asset as an ecash token. And that's what ehash is. So the process of mining, I guess at a high level, what happens when you're mining is you've got this ASIC, maybe it's a BitX, maybe it's an S21, depending on how much you've invested. It's churning through block templates, trying to find a weak block, or essentially a Bitcoin block that demonstrates some proof of work, but is not good enough to be a new block on the network. When you find one of these weak blocks, you send it up to you send the parameters that allowed you to generate that block back to the mining pool, and the mining pool is like, cool, I can see that you're working on this problem, that you've got proof of work here. That's what all those zeros are at the beginning of your share hash. That's proof that you worked on the problem. And now the mining pool says, cool, you got some proof of work. I'm going to give you a record in my database. Now with HashPool, it says, cool, you got some proof of work. I'm going to turn this proof of work into some ehash tokens. And here is their denomination. And now they live at this mint in this data structure called a quote. And you can, at will, you can go to the mint, you can claim the quote, and you can sweep these ehash tokens into your wallet. And unlike mining pools with internal accounts databases, you can trade these things. So I can, if I mined upstream to Antpool or one of these other pools, and I wanted to sell my proof of work to someone else, like I don't think there's a way to do that for most pools. There are some hash rate derivative products out there. They're like financial products. They're not designed to be low level protocol, self-sovereign user, open source software products. That's what ehash is. So you can actually mine up some ehash and say you have, you need to pay your electrical bill tomorrow. You can sell the ehash that you've mined up for dollars today. You don't have to wait for them to reach maturity and become worth Bitcoin. The offset, the like counter side of that is that if someone wanted to DCA into Bitcoin, maybe someone in some other part of the world who doesn't have access to mining hardware, doesn't have a good setup to mine, they can buy ehash from you. And that actually is a way for them to DCA into Bitcoin in a trustless, privacy-preserving manner that routes around censorship or laws or any of these other, state apparatuses that prevent people from accessing Bitcoin. That's the part that excites me about ecash the most. We're bringing freedom tech down to the mining realm.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, you were wondering where to go next. You floated the idea of just getting more deeply into how it works. I also, one thing I think worth covering is I think there was a tweet thread from the HashPool account that had several like project ideas or places to contribute that I think would be worth highlighting. Do you think it would make sense to go over that before going into how HashPool works, or the other way around?
No, that's great. Yeah, let's go there.
Okay, cool. Let me see if I can pull up the tweet real quick, and or if you have it on your screen, you can throw it up. I guess whoever gets there first.
Yeah, I have it. I am in a. I'd have to
Oh,
log
here
in.
we
If you
here
pull
we
it up.
go. Let me switch back to your screen. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Let's. Well, I don't have the. I don't have the Twitter thread on here. I've got a.
Okay, let me. Oh, here we go. I found it right here. Uh,
Whoops. Okay. Probably a bunch of replies here.
I can pull it up here
Gotcha.
on my screen. Let's see.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a bunch of different. So this project is a barely working prototype. So anyone who wants to jump in and start hacking on this, I applaud you. I will work with you personally to get it working. But it's just a prototype phase right now. I don't have like good APIs or anything. Tell me what you need, and I would be happy to build it. I need people building on this software. That it's free and open source, and it really depends on the community. If no one uses it, then I'll know it wasn't a good idea. But if people use it, then I'll know it was. So use it, tell me what you need, and I will build it to your specifications. But here's some ideas. Where the project is right now, it's totally a shitcoin. There is no Lightning node. If you notice in the process list here, there's no Lightning. That's because the Mint is set to have a fake Lightning node. There's no backend. So one of the things, and right now, and all this ehash that it's generating, these are shitcoins. You can't turn these into Bitcoin because I haven't built that part yet. So one of the first projects I think would be most important to advancing ehash into a usable technology is to stand up a Lightning node. So that would be another process in here. It would tightly integrate with the Mint. And this would allow us to, when we find a block, we can actually turn those ehash tokens into actual sats and let people claim the sats. That would be a hugely important project. Another one is I want people to be able to trade ehash tokens, and they need somewhere to go to do that. So I think Nostr is the natural first choice. It's sort of the freedom tech social media network. It's more than social media, though. It's like an open protocol. I think we need ehash protocols for people to go and post. So if you want to buy ehash, post an order on a Nostr relay, someone else can peruse the orders and match up with you. So they have ehash to sell and you have ehash to buy. Let's make a beautiful friendship here. A mining analytics dashboard. So one of the issues that I've identified in the existing mining pool stack is that it's sort of a dumb stack, kind of like how our electrical grid is really dumb. Everything happens at the centralized provider, and at the edges of the network, it's really not very sophisticated. The way this plays out in the mining pool stack is that the mining pools actually capture all of the metrics of the individual miners who are mining to them, and they produce dashboards, and they'll tell you your hash rate right on their website based on your account. We need to flip this dynamic on its head. We need a dumber server and a smarter client. And what I think that looks like is a self-hosted mining analytics dashboard on your server at home. So my mental model is to have like a J-random pleb like you, Steven, or me, has a couple of bitaxes. They run an Umbrella or a Start9 server or just a Linux box at home. And all of their bitaxes send hash rate to that machine, and it has a pretty dashboard and helps you like figure out what's working and what isn't, and then only sends the economically valuable shares upstream to the pool. So the upstream pool is not doing your metrics for you. I think this is a fundamental unlock to sort of scale out pleb mining. And when we're talking about small scale mining, like pleb mining, I think we really need to focus on this kind of scale. So, and that's what most of this thread is talking about. That project, someone was asking me what kind of mining analytics dashboard. So we'll get into that in a second. Another project I think would be cool is an ehash faucet. So if we could take this stack as it is, as rough as it is today, put it on a cloud server somewhere, point some hash rate to it, and just like put ehash on the internet. People could just go and get some free ehash. It's totally a shit coin. It's never going to turn into Bitcoin, but you can go to a website and get some ehash and put it in your wallet today. I think that would be really exciting, and that would get a lot of people engaged. Once people see the ehash land in their mobile wallet, I think it's going to start turning gears and drive a lot more excitement to this project. So that's an exciting one for me personally. Integrate a Cashew wallet into the BitX firmware. So if you go to hashpool.dev/diagrams, I've got these two issuance diagrams. And if you notice, this one has the proxy right here. And the proxy is where the wallet software lives. The ASIC only generates shares. It sends it to the proxy where it does the ecash stuff. The blinded secrets, the locking secrets, this is all ecash stuff, Cashew stuff. If we were to include the CDK Cashew wallet logic inside of the BitX firmware, you wouldn't have to run a proxy on your home network. You could just connect your BitX to the HashPool instance that someone else is running, and it saves like a whole network hop. And this really improves the usability, so the user experience from start to finish. Now you can actually, someone who's brand new to mining could buy a BitX, install it, buy a BitX, stand it up, which as anyone who's run a BitX knows, you just like connect to the Wi-Fi, put in some credentials, and then they could download a Cashew wallet. Cashew.me is one of my favorites. It's a PWA, extremely lightweight, no install necessary. And they can be up and running. They don't have to install anything on the home server. They don't need to run an Umbrella at home. This would be a huge usability unlock. And I think that would be a really great project to work on. And it lets you get low level into the firmware of the BitX, which is another A+ top tier mining decentralization project. What else do we got here? CTV, CSFS payment stack. So one of the projects I worked on in a recent hackathon was called Coinbase Playground. So this is for people who are more interested in hacking on like low-level Bitcoin protocol scripting stuff. What I did here was I stood up another dev-env. This is a dev-env stack on the left. I stood up a separate dev-env stack that lets you generate blocks and put CTV transactions in the Coinbase of the blocks. And you can read through this if you want. I'll share it. But I think this is a way to answer Stephen's question about non-custodial mining. I think this is how we do it. I think we need CTV to do non-custodial mining. CTV is a soft fork proposal. If you don't want to wade into that, that's like a whole controversial fight online. If you don't want to wade into that, I totally get it. You don't work on this project. If you do want to wade into that arena, I think this is a really great project, and I encourage you to talk to me about it, about how to build it. I think it does get to mining.
That's TreePay, right?
Say what?
That's the TreePay idea, right?
Is that? I haven't heard of that.
I thought that was with actually at another hackathon a long time ago. I worked on a project that was like for CTV that was called like TreePay, and it was this idea that you could have like one UTXO that's like claimable by many different parties, and it's like you could have like 50 people, and like everybody could claim like one nugget of that UTXO.
Okay, sounds like a payment pool.
Yeah, well, yeah, that might be. I think it was. I think payment. There was coin pools. I remember was one proposal, but yeah, maybe that's what it is. I always heard it called TreePay. And so, anyways, it sounds conceptually similar. So I'm really that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I think the end game, my gut feeling, and I haven't built it yet, so I can't say for sure. But I think the end game is to generate one of these payment trees and then use checksig from stack to dynamically redefine the outputs of the payment tree. And I think this could be used in a decentralized mining pool like Braid Pool or P2 Pool to help decide on the Coinbase that everyone is mining to. So I think there's like a lot of potential here to both motivate CTV to activate and solve decentralized mining. And if you want to dive in and work on that, this is the most exciting project to me. So definitely hit me up. I want to help you that. Yeah, and if we your audio is very choppy. I can't understand. I can't make you out, Steven. I'm sorry. Okay, let's get into, I guess, how it works. What do we have? We're halfway through. Is anybody online and asking questions?
We have about 71 people watching right now. But
oh, wow.
Yes. So yeah, if anybody has a question, if you're watching on X, we might, I don't think we're going to see the comments here necessarily. Maybe, I'm not sure, but we're definitely seeing comments from YouTube and Twitch. But if you do have any comments or questions for Evan, you can try to drop them in whatever chat platform, and I'll try my best to relay them to Evan.
All right. Well, let's discuss these processes. So, yeah, here we've got a very complicated mermaid diagram. The Bitcoin D node, this is running a fork of Bitcoin D that does some Stratum v2 stuff. It's a fork run by Shores Provoost. If you listen to Bitcoin Explained, he's great. He's a super fun nerd to listen to. He explains all this deep technical stuff. There actually is in a production deployment or in a real world deployment, there would be 2 Bitcoin D nodes. We're actually sharing them here between the mining pool and the miner. But we're just going to hand wave that away. There would be 2 different Bitcoin nodes in practice. JD client, if you tune into the one of these meetings talking about how to work on SRI, they're probably going to talk about similar stuff. This is SRI stands for Stratum v2 reference implementation. My project builds on SRI. So JD client is one of the processes that it runs on the miner side of the internet. It connects to your Bitcoin node and it produces Bitcoin block templates that you mine on. JD server likewise lives on the pool side of the internet, and it's validating these block templates that you're mining on when you send them to the mining pool. This miner is a CPU miner. It's using my CPU on my laptop to produce hash rate, and it's got terrible. I used to use CPU miner and it logged out the hash rate, but on here I don't think it does. Last I checked, I was getting like 15 or 20 mega hash on my laptop. Fortunately, mining pools use something called VARDIF, or variable difficulty, so they dynamically determine your hash rate so that you can get credit for those shares, even though they're so tiny. Mint is a CDK Mint D process. This lives on the mining pool side. It's tightly integrated with, it's actually loosely integrated with the pool process. Pool is actually handling the shares, validating the shares. And SRI is an interesting project because they don't have an opinion on like mining pool payouts. They're like, here's the whole pool stack. We don't do payouts though. You can figure out payouts on your own, which is interesting because I have a solution for payouts. The proxy is, again, we discussed this a little bit earlier. This is the service that the miner is going to run on their side that allows you to point a bunch of Stratum v1 mining devices to this process, and it will translate those Stratum v1 shares into Stratum v2 shares before sending them up to the pool for validation. And also in our architecture, the proxy is where the ecash logic happens. You can see here in this, this is too big. This is the internet, this vertical line in between the pool and the miner, and the proxy combines a Cashew wallet, and the pool is combined with Cashew Mint. And down here is Redis. Redis is a really powerful little tool that essentially lets you. It's an in-memory essentially, I think of it as an in-memory hash table. So it's a process you can run. You just throw data at it. You attach a key value to each piece of data, and you can quickly look it up. What I'm using it for, it's super useful for, in my engineering career, it's been super useful for queuing events so that you can have high throughput systems where you can throw a ton of data at it and it queues it up in this message queue and consumes from the queue in a different process. That's what we're using it for here. We're sending all of the ecash, all of the all of the cashew quotes. We throw them into Redis, and the idea there is that the mining pool, that the pool process needs to be very focused on mining activities, and we don't want to slow down the mining pool processing to do ecash stuff because it might have negative performance impacts on the mining stack. So instead, we take all the ecash stuff, we throw it into this Redis queue, and from the pool's perspective, we're done. This allows us to decouple the pool and the ecash, decouple the mining protocol from the ecash protocol, and they can sort of cater to their respective strengths. And then the ecash stuff doesn't slow down the pool stuff. What does the development process look like? Well, let's go here. I use something called devenv. Oh, wait a minute. You guys probably, I don't know if you can see that. Let me bring this up.
I can rearrange if need be.
That's fine. I'll just bring the bottom up. There we go.
That works.
Okay. All right, we're in the HashPool directory. I'm going to run devenv shell. And this is my sort of terminal. I've got two tabs here. On the left side, I've got the devenv window itself. And on the right side, I've got the devenv shell. And I use a tool called just. Whoops. I need to change that. Let me get the just recipes. Okay. When you enter devenv shell, it prints all the just recipes here. So you can see you've got a couple. The main one that we need to use here is called just up, and that just starts up the whole process. The other thing I use a lot is redis-cli, and this brings me into the Redis prompt where I can do things like look at all the keys. So these are my outstanding quotes you can see here. The key set is, this is important. I'm glad I brought it up. So the key set is a collection of pub keys that the ecash mint produces. And ecash token, this is necessary because each ecash token has a fixed denomination. So unlike Bitcoin, with Bitcoin, I can send you like 0.002412537 Bitcoin. So it has sort of an indeterminate unit. You can specify the unit in sats. Ecash is a little different. It has denominations, just like we have a $1 bill, a $2 bill if you go to the bank, a 10, a 20. Ecash has denominations, and they typically go follow powers of 2. So there's 1, 2, 4, 8, and so on. And the way it determines the unit in terms of the protocol is it assigns a public key to each different unit. And this collection of all pub keys and units is called the key set. And when the mint starts up, it's going to generate this key set, and we need to know the key set at the proxy before we can start generating any ecash tokens. So here, when we start up, we're 8 minutes in. I don't know if I can go back finally. Yeah, okay, cool. We started up the mint, and look, one of the first messages was it published the key set. 007A2, yada, yada, whatever, at this Redis key, mint.keyset.active. So what's happening here is when we start up the process, each process enters a polling loop and it waits for the previous process to start. And the mint is one of the first ones. And the reason is that the mint generates this key set. The pool needs to know the key set before it starts up. So the pool will wait for the mint to build and then start up and then grab this key set from Redis. Then the proxy will wait for the pool to build. And when it establishes a connection, here, let's go to the pool role and see if it does anything. See if there's a message about the key set. Here we go. Yeah, one of the first messages is loading the key set from Redis. Then if we go to the proxy, I don't know if the proxy might have scrolled past. Oh man, these logs go pretty far back. Okay, it opened a connection. Successfully opened. Sometimes it thrashes a little bit on the start. Okay, it's thrashing. It doesn't. Okay, it doesn't print a message when it receives the key set. But I know it has received the key set because it can't generate ecash tokens without it. So actually what the proxy is doing is it's reading the key set from the open mining channel success message. And that is a Stratum v2 message. And then when the proxy receives a share from the miner, it validates that share, number one. And number two, it generates what are called blinded secrets. So it takes that key set, looks at all the public keys, it breaks down the denominations that it needs to use. And you see this first share had a value of 26. So it's probably going to create, let me think, 16. It's going to create a token for 16 and a token for 8 and a token for 2. So it's actually going to generate 3 ecash tokens based on that key set. It's going to find the public key that corresponds to the denomination 16, the one for 8 and the one for 2. And it's going to generate 3 sets of blinded secrets using those pub keys. It bundles those blinded secrets up with the share that was received from the downstream ASIC miner, sends them upstream to the pool role. The pool is going to validate those shares. I don't think there's a log message for this. The pool is going to validate those shares and say, okay, this is a valid share according to the mining protocol, the Stratum v2 protocol. And then it grabs the blinded secrets from the quote object and says, hey, we're ready to mint some ecash tokens. Here's all the data you need to mint tokens. I bundled them together in this quote object. This is a cashew concept. And then it puts the quote into Redis. The mint process, when it starts up, it will poll. It opens a polling loop. It opens a polling loop to query for. Oh, here it also deleted some. This is some cleanup. It's cleaning up some data from the previous run. And it opens a polling loop that finds quotes on Redis and then actually generates them and puts them in the Mint database. And there's an HTTP API that the wallet uses where it can go and claim that quote. Is that clear? Were you able to follow that whole explanation?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. I'm so deep into this stuff. It's sometimes it's hard for me to know, like, when I'm explaining something or when I've just gone off the rails. Yeah, I don't know. Are there any? That's like how the system works in a nutshell. In the future, the steps to get this thing into production use are I need to you can go to the GitHub page and see all the issues I've got laid out. But the biggest one is to enable ehash redemptions. And in order to do that, I've got some steps, some upgrades to make. I need to get off of, right now it's mining on testnet 4. So I need to transition it to mine on RegTest. RegTest is a completely self-contained blockchain that runs on one machine, and you can just type in a terminal command to crank out blocks. The reason I need to do this is that I can't reliably mine blocks on testnet 4, and I need a new block in order to have some mining rewards to give the ehash tokens value. So I need to upgrade to reg test. Honestly, I think that probably would be just like 2 config file changes
I think
to
so.
get on. I also need to stand up a Lightning node, which is, I think, going to be the much bigger lift. Run it in this Devon architecture that you see here on the left side. I'm going to need to funnel the Coinbase rewards into the Lightning node, open channels with it, which would probably involve some scripting on startup. We're going to have to do all this reg test stuff to get some funds in the Lightning node to start with, open some Lightning channels to the Mint. I guess, I don't know. I'm not even sure how that works. I haven't gotten that far yet. But ultimately, when in the terminal, when I do something like some terminal command that's like reg test, generate a block. In the Devon container, I need it to go to the Lightning node and be able to make Lightning payouts. And then when you have your wallet, you have some ecash, some ehash tokens in your wallet. You want to go to the Mint and redeem them for ecash. We need a way. We need to get to a place where that is possible. So that's when we get there. I think the project will be close enough to start thinking about a production deployment.
And you actually are going to work on redemption during the build-a-thon, is that right?
Yeah, I just learned like an hour ago that I'm eligible to enter the hackathon.
Yeah.
So I guess that'll be my project, is trying to get this thing closer to production.
Oh, cool. And I mean, that's great because like also if anybody is interested in like listening to this and is, interested in helping with that, there's already a team running for it now. So you can message Evan on Discord if you're looking for a team. We have a section on the Discord that's like mine hackers seeking teammates. So that's a good place to post if you're looking to join a team. But just look for Evan on Discord. And I mean, yeah, I think that's great. As far as I'm concerned, mentors should be building too. Like I was telling Evan before the call, it's just judges and organizers such as myself who can't participate in the actual building, but everyone else is fair game as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. So.
Well, cool. I mean, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for giving the deep dive into HashPool and how all this works. And this is certainly exciting. And I think that's an awesome hackathon project if you could get the redemption up and running, because that seems like that would be the final piece, it seems like, to kind of prove out the entire concept of mining something all the way up to somebody redeeming it for actual Bitcoin. I mean, I know you'd be demonstrating that on reg test, but if you got the Lightning node set up, you would be at least able to demonstrate the entire pipeline from wanting to, try and mine a block all the way to actually redeeming the ecash for Bitcoin over Lightning.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just bug fixing and stability improvements and deployability.
Well, cool. Is there anything else you'd like to let people know before we wrap things up? Maybe any other thoughts about HashPool or mining that you didn't fit neatly into other parts of your presentation, or places where they can find you online or anything like that?
I'm most active on Nostr, but for this hackathon, I'll be in the Discord. You can find me there. My DMs are open. I have a busy family life, so I can't promise you that I'll respond quickly, but I will respond. Just keep blowing up my DMs. I'll get back to you.
And are you working are you working like full time on HashPool right now?
Yeah, this is my self-appointed job. So this is what I'm doing for full time for the foreseeable future until we fix Bitcoin mining.
Cool. Did you get any like open source funding for the project or anything like that?
I do. I have received an HRF grant to work on HashPool, and I have a couple applications open to other organizations as well.
Very cool. Awesome.
If you can bend someone's ear at Spiral or at OpenSats, let them know why they should fund me. I would appreciate it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, so follow Evan on Nostr or on message him in the Discord if you're interested in working on HashPool as part of your Battle of the Mine Hackers project. Cool. Well, with that, we can go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for taking the time today, Evan, and for being a mentor during the hackathon.
My pleasure. Thanks for putting this on, Stephen. You're
All
a
right.
real one.
Catch you later.